Okay, so we have modeled each of our individual components, and our final goal is to create a full assembly here and also input the fasteners from the Fusion parts library. So let's go ahead and start to make our assembly. So to do this, let's come up to the top. Let's go on a new design. And it's within this new design that we are going to insert each of the individual components. We're going to constrain these using joints in Fusion, and then our assembly will be complete. And so the process of forming an assembly in Fusion is considerably different from traditional CAD softwares, such as Autodesk Inventor, SolidWorks, Siemens NX. In these traditional programs, we create a dedicated assembly file and then draw in the individual part files that we drew previously. Whereas in Fusion, we form an assembly within a design file where each of those components have a link to their associated design files. So with our new design open, let's come up to the top left and we're going to hit Show Data Panel. And then within the data panel, you need to locate under your projects the four parts that we previously drew. So mine are in Home Fusion Course Project. I've got a folder called Creating Assemblies, and then under Assembly Tutorial, I've got the past 4 parts that we've drawn. So let's start by inserting one of these. Let's go for the base plate. To do this, we right click and then we select Insert into Current Design. Left click once. And now the part is brought into this design, and straight away we have the option to move this. So this is relative to the X, Y, and Z axis in this environment. We can move it in any direction like so. We also have the ability to rotate it, and we can control all of these parameters with the toolbox here. We've also got the circle in the center, so that's a free move. And then we've got 3 individual squares here, and they relate to just moving under 2 axes. So for example, this one here is the XZ, this one here is the YZ, this one here is the XY. Let's go back on the home view then, and let's rotate this part by 90 degrees in this direction here. Quite happy with that orientation, going to press OK. That's our first part insert. And then if we come over to our browser, we'll then see that we only have one design in here, or one part, so this is the base plate. And we see we've got this chain symbol here. And this represents a link to the original file, which is here. And at this point, it would be a good idea to save this file. So let's click Save. And I'm going to type this fully assembly. And that is the correct location. Make sure the project's correct, click Save, and then we should see that appear in the data panel here. As we see, yeah, it's just popped up there, and it's just uploading that data. Let's continue with our assembly then. Let's input some more parts. Let's go for the bracket arms. I'm going to right click, Insert into Current Design. And I'm just going to roughly position these. So you could accurately position them, but I want to show you how to use joints. And so I'm just going to roughly throw them into place. Okay, something like that. That's good for now. Happy with that position. Let's press OK. Let's do exactly the same. We want the other side. Again, I'm going to use these arrows down here. Move this into position. Move that up. And rotate that 180 like so. Okay. Let's go ahead and put the pin in. Right click, Insert. Roughly position this. Let's go on the right view. Move that arrow up. Okay, that's all right. And the same for the wheel. So right click, Insert into Current Design. Again, going to go on the right view for this one. Roughly position this. Okay. Go back to the home view. And then if we want to readjust any of these, it's very simple. We just hold down the left mouse button and we can drag and move that around. Now, some students have advised me that they are unable to do so. No problems at all. We come up to our tools at the top and we come under the selection tools, hit the drop down, and you'll see here there's a checkbox for component drag. So with that turned on, we can freely drag items. If I have it turned off, we're unable to freely drag unless we hold down Alt on the keyboard. If I hold down Alt, I can then move these parts around, but without Alt held down, I'm unable to move this part. I would always recommend keeping component drag on. Personally, it's just easier for moving things around. Now there's one item here, which is the base plate that we are unable to move. So I'm holding down the left mouse button now, but I'm unable to move this part. However, all the others I can. And so this has formed a relationship with this particular design, and it's what we call ground to parent. Okay, so if we come up to our browser and then we go under the base plate, we'll see there's this anchor symbol next to the part, and that indicates that it's a ground part. So if we right click on this, we've got the option here, unground from parent. So the parent in this case is referring to this particular design file. So it's referring to the origin, the X, Y, and Z. This part is ground to that datum, and so we are unable to move it. But we can right click on it, unground it, and then we have the free option to move that. I'm going to keep that ground for the time being. I like to have the first part grounded, and that's what we do in traditional CAD softwares, because then every other part, as we form the constraints or the joints in Fusion with this part, it's then all related and everything is fixed in position. So we can be ensured that all the relationships that we want are in place. Then just another tip for moving parts. If we did want to move a part precisely, we can come over to the browser. Let's say we wanted to move this part precisely. We can right click on that part and then select move copy or shortcut M on the keyboard. And then we've got our arrows and our wheels. We can adjust that how we need, like so. We can use the parameters in the box here to control that. Okay, so that's how we place parts inside a design file and roughly position them. And then in the next lecture, we'll begin to use joints, where we'll form constraints and relationships between each individual part. So I look forward to seeing you there.